Welcome to Exploring Hyperspace Lanes. I am Adam. Josie is here. She has stepped away from the what's it called? From the computer to do I don't know what. She did not say anything. She just walked away. But left everything running. So I figured I'd start the show while we wait for her to get back. 'Cause I thought it'd be funny. But she's taking a lot longer than I thought she would, so it's a lot less funny than I thought. Um Oh, and now here she is. Oh, I think she's looking at a blanket. Um, so she's back now. She's getting situated. She is sitting back down and putting her headphones back on, so she'll be hearing it now. Hello,
You
welcome.
couldn't wait 30 seconds.
I thought it'd be funny.
I just, I literally got up to get myself a water and grab a blanket. That
You,
was all I did.
you didn't say anything, and I was talking, and I look up and like, oh, she's not there anymore. So I was like, this will be funny. Let me start it. Um, so
Got him. Good job. Got me. Oh my
so
goodness.
So, before we start, I had a question for you, about decorum in stores. Um,
What?
what? Like we always start with bullshit before we get into it. We do this every week. We start with bullshit before we get into it. So, um, I had another topic of conversation beforehand, but I forgot what it was. So I figured we'd start with this one because this happened to me in CVS the other day, and I wanted to know if this was your do you get your prescriptions at CVS when you get prescriptions? Is that your pharmacy of choice?
Currently, yeah.
Okay, so when you go to the pharmacy,
The
how long do you have
one
to
that's
wait?
closest to my work right now. For
Okay,
prescriptions?
yeah. How long do you have to wait for the
What?
prescription?
What do you,
I mean, from the time you walk into the building,
uh,
like your prescription is ready. Okay, from the time you walk into the
I
building.
usually get it like the day after I'm supposed to, so it takes me like 2 seconds.
Okay,
Like it's been done for 24 hours.
so my
It's a
grandmother's been
it's a me problem.
okay. That's not your fault. That's fine. My point is, my grandmother's been living out here for a few weeks now. So I've been going and picking up her prescriptions on the way home from work from CVS. No joke, on Monday when I was in there, a half hour from the time I stepped into the building to the time I was given her prescription in my hand by the pharmacist or pharmacy tech. Because there's a line of
Okay.
like 9 people.
Did you have a written
No,
prescription or
the
did you?
prescription was there, it was ready, it was paid for. Everything was set up. So I just walk in, get to the counter. Hi, I'm here to pick up my prescription for her name. And then they give me the prescription. That should be the entire transaction. You verify the birth date, you do whatever you need to do. That should be the entire transaction. It took a half hour because they have a line of 10 people. I counted 10 people in line, one register open, 5 people milling around back there filling prescriptions. And I'm like, why can't you
Okay.
send one person to the register to check people out?
Well, because what that's not their job, and they're not the same people.
Bullshit. I worked at Walgreens for years. That's bullshit. Everyone is trained on the
Oh, okay.
register. I worked at
Even
Walgreens
up there,
for
like
6 years.
to you used to check people out
Oh yeah, 100%.
for their meds.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I was a supervisor, so I was able to go back in the pharmacy. There were cross-trained people on the floor who could also do that. But what I'm saying is, in the pharmacy, the pharmacist could get up and go and check people out to get rid of the line. Like, the pharmacist is well within her power to do that. The pharmacy techs who are filling scripts can also do that. Like, it is a open proposition where anyone can just go over to a register and do it. It's not rocket science. If you're back there
This.
filling, you can do that.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't know. It doesn't take me very long, but I also don't go to a very busy one. And I go at random times during the day because I have a weird schedule.
and the other thing that kind of annoyed me was this guy was there. He did what you said and brought in his prescription to get it filled. So he brought in the paper prescription or whatever. So he's sitting there waiting, and this guy is obviously in withdrawal for some kind of opioid. Because this is the
Hmm.
most agitated person I've ever seen on the planet waiting for a prescription. because he like 5 minutes and he's like, come on, come on. And then it's like it gets to like the end toward the
Mhm.
20-minute mark. He's like, come the fuck on. What's taking so long? And I'm like, dude, like, calm the fuck down. Like, and it's like that, like if it's anything else
Did you tell him
besides
that?
no, I didn't because I'm a giant pussy. We've been over this. We've talked about this. Like I don't in horror movies. I don't confront people in public situations. We know this already. But I'm sitting there in this line, and I'm not gonna get, especially someone who's visibly going through a withdrawal, and I'm like, I'm not gonna get involved in this situation. And the reason why I knew it was an opioid or was some kind of controlled substance was he had to show his ID, and you don't have to do that if it's not, if it's not a controlled substance. Schedule or what's a Schedule 2, I think it's called, or Schedule 1 or some bullshit like that. But they had to check his ID when he was buying it. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, can we just move this the fuck along? Like, because it's like the thing is too, it's not only for that, but this guy's getting visibly annoyed that he's sitting here, and I'm like, if not for me, who has better uses of their time than standing in this fucking internal line, like I'm standing in some kind of hell. Like, if not for me, then for the guy who's getting visibly angry and like annoyed to the point where he's like, like tapping his hand on the desk and like, moving around a lot. It's the kind of thing where it's like, diffuse the situation or don't send the woman who weighs like 90 pounds soaking wet to handle this guy. If that's the case, maybe the 6'5" guy who's back there can go and handle the guy. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but like I felt bad for this poor girl who had to ring this guy up because this guy was getting visibly annoyed and agitated as she was asking questions to verify his identity. Like I'm just like,
Hmm.
can like send the other guy to do it. Like that's fucked up. Um, but that was the other thing is like, have you gotten that annoyed? Have you ever gotten annoyed in the store to the point where you walked out, waiting in a line?
All the time.
Because it's happened to me a few times in the last week, and I'm like, maybe I'm just getting old.
No, all the time. If things take too long, well, I usually have places to be too. So like if something's taking too long, I now, if and I'm waiting in line, I've waited in line up to the minute that I could. I then have to abandon my things and leave.
Uh, so because I had that happen when me and Peter were recording the year in review, I went to
Or I'll straight up
Marshall's.
walk into a store, see what the lines are like, and then I won't go, and then I won't buy anything and I'll leave because there's no way I'm going to wait in that checkout line.
See, I've done the opposite where it's like I went into FYE once to browse, not buy anything. I was just looking to see if they had anything good. And I'm in the store, I'm looking around, and the manager caught someone shoplifting and chased them down out of the store. So at that point, I'm like, fuck. Now I can't just look around and leave. Now I gotta buy something. Like, so I ended up buying a copy of Breakfast at Tiffany's for $5. But like,
Oh.
yeah, so I've had the opposite, but like I went to when we were recording the year in review episode, I went to Marshall's beforehand because I was looking for a new bag because I'm gonna start going to the gym. Um, because I think we talked about this last week where it's like we were taking pictures at Christmas. I'm like, what's that giant wall behind my grandmother? And it's like, oh no, that's just my stomach. So I'm gonna start going to a gym. So I went to buy a gym bag and they didn't have one, but they did have a really cool Star Wars light which shows my thought process on the whole situation. And it was on clearance because of the Christmas thing, and I bring it up to I get on the line, and I stand in the line for 10 minutes. It does not budge, and I'm just like fuck it, so I left. And then the same thing happened at Best Buy 2 weeks ago. I think I told the story where I go into Best Buy to pick up a game, SpongeBob the Cosmic Shake, because I was covering it for Beware of Spoilers, and I go in, and what happened was my brother got the game early because of a fuck up at the shipping wherever they shipped it from. So he got the game early on accident. But I saw that he got it, and I was like, oh shit, the game came out already, because I can't be responsible for remembering all the release dates, especially when a game comes out on a fucking Tuesday instead of on a Friday like it's supposed to. So I go to Best Buy, they have it on the shelf.
Hmm.
Um, so I pick up the game. I go to the register. There are three people in front of me, three people behind me. I'm in the middle of this clusterfuck. No one at the registers. One guy working the pickup counter. Um, and there's four people hovered around acting as security at the what's it called at the security desk. You know how at Best Buy they have a security desk up by the front door where they check your receipt and they have all the cameras. and you have these guys who are like the least intimidating people on the planet. So it's like it's security at a Best Buy, so it's just the most intimidating people who work at a Best Buy. And you look at these people and it's like I can take this guy in a fight, and it's like I'm not a fighter. Like if worse came to worse, I can probably punch this guy out. Anyway, these
Uh,
lemmings are all standing around this thing, and I was like, can someone open a fucking register? Like this is what baffles me with this whole thing with the shoplifting and all that bullshit, where it's like they invested so much in security, but no one's working a register, so you can't get out of these buildings anymore. So you're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, and it's like, can just someone open a fucking register? So I do finally get to the register with my game after about 20 minutes. And the thing was, I'm standing there waiting for this fucking
You're
game.
rats. I'm sorry.
And I get to the register, and the guy takes it out of the alpha case because they put them in alpha case so no one can steal them. Which, again, the alpha case is a waste of money and time because if I want to steal it, all it's going to do is tell you that I'm stealing it as I'm walking out the door because I'm going to get home and take a hammer to it and be fine. Because it's a fucking piece of plastic. So I get up there, he takes it out of the case, and he scans it, and I have a card at Best Buy, like the Best Buy rewards card, and he goes, "Oh no, we don't scan those anymore. You guys put your phone number in." So like, all right, whatever. So he scans the game, and then he goes, "Let me call a manager over." And I'm like, "It's not rated M, where you have to ask for ID." And you're sitting here like, "Do I ID this guy who's visibly over 17?" And it's like maybe it's the opposite, where it's like he thinks I'm some kind of weirdo because I'm buying this game, and I'm like, whatever. So he calls the manager over, and the manager's like, he goes, "It says pre-order." And the manager's like, "Oh, I can't sell it to you. The game's not available yet." And I go, "You better get someone the fuck back there then, because you got 30 copies on the shelf, all in alpha cases, which means that you guys fucked up on two fronts because your security fuckheads put them in alpha cases and put them on the shelf, and someone unpacked them and put them out there. Like, what the fuck is going on here?"
Oh yeah, did you say that?
I said, "You might want to get someone back there and get these cleaned up then, because someone put them out when they shouldn't be." I did say that. I don't curse at people.
Yeah, I do. You don't curse at people?
No, they're just doing their job. I got cursed out so many times working retail that I will not curse out a retail worker.
It's a little different. It's a little different up here. Like that's just how people talk to each
I
other.
live in New York. You think people aren't aggressive here? Like, the
No, I don't think
fuck?
it's an aggressive thing. It's a lack of
Inhibitions regarding cursing in public?
no, no, vocabulary.
Oh, okay. A lack of vocabulary?
Yes.
Okay. But no, I don't curse people out because
And
working
it's how
retail.
you like be friendly to people
And the
here
other thing
who
is too, I know because I used to do this to people, if you get aggressive, I will make your life miserable for the duration of the transaction. I will go out of my way to make your life harder for the duration. Because like one of the things is we used to have the photo department, and if someone came in and they were a bitch to me previously, I would not let them put their photos through if they were doing school pictures or like vacation
oh
pictures. Because like you know how it's like when they get the professional school pictures done, it's like technically you're not supposed to get it copied at like Walmart or at a store or something like that because like you have to order it through the thing, and it's like there's a policy at the store, we will not do these. And if you're nice to me or anything like that, I would pay it no mind. But if you were an asshole previously, I would let you sit there and do it the whole time and take the hour to put the order in, and then once they're printed, I would be like, "Sorry, we can't do it," and I would throw it in the destroy box in front of them.
hmm.
That's the most aggressive I will get with people, and even that's passive aggressive at best. So
I used to
anyway,
throw people out of my store.
were they like I've done that a few times. We had the guy who came in, and he the homeless man whose life I saved, which sounds a lot nicer than I called the police to have a homeless man removed from the store. Um, he was visibly in alcohol poisoning, and he had shattered his ankle in like six places, and he decided to just camp out in the pharmacy area. So he said, "Look, I'm not leaving, so you have to call the police to have me removed if you really want to do that." And I'm like, "I really don't because nothing's ever fast. So like, can you just leave?" And so we called the police, and then they came and they took him out. And it's like the guy was like in the early stages of like alcohol poisoning from having drank so much, and it was to the point where at some point he
Mhm.
had fallen and his ankle ballooned up like this, like it was like this his ankle, and it's like the guy wasn't a fat guy, so like we you know he went to the hospital. So when we tell the story, we said we saved his life, because it sounds better. Um, so anyway, on to today's topic at hand. We're going to talk about The Empire Strikes Back, which Josie informed me today that she thought we were talking about A New Hope, which begged the question. We talked about it 4 weeks ago. Why did you think that was what we were talking about today? Which
You make
apparently
one
was.
slip up for like 2 seconds,
Oh, oh,
and
oh, okay, never mind. I thought
you
you.
get shit
I
on for the rest of your life. It's
in
fine,
in
whatever.
fairness, in fairness to me, I thought that you meant that you went and rewatched A New Hope again, and I was like,
No,
why the fuck? Okay, I thought because you didn't correct yourself. I was like, oh, I thought that she went and watched the movie again, and I was like, what the fuck?
no,
Um,
no.
so so as with last time, I have notes.
I just moved on. You corrected me, and I went, that, and then I moved on.
Oh, okay. So I thought you were like, oh shit, I watched the wrong movie.
No, so you make 1 second. Don't make me. Whatever.
Oh, you're doing your impression of fucking Arlo Guthrie in Alice's Restaurant. Anyway, so episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, directed by Irving Kershner, who directed Never Say Never Again, the James Bond movie, and RoboCop 2. It was written by Lee Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan. We have a little bit more on Lee Brackett a little bit later, but they had to really fight to get her the writing credit on this, because she wrote the first draft and then died between the first and second draft. The movie was same as A New Hope, 121 minutes. This movie came out on May 21st, 1980. It had a budget of 30.5 million, which was over double the budget of A New Hope. But it did make less than A New Hope. It made $549 million. So a little bit of the history regarding the various drafts. Lee Brackett's draft was the first one. Well, what happened was Lucas made an outline for it. They had tossed out Splinter of the Mind's Eye entirely because they were like, look, we're not going to cover Splinter of the Mind's Eye. We have the money now to do a real sequel. We're not going to do a low budget version of this. We're going to do this. And then they had re-signed Harrison Ford, so they didn't need to worry about writing him off. So Lucas gives an outline to Lee Brackett, who writes the first draft. And he didn't want to do the writing or the directing because of the amount of work that went into doing it the first time. And it was very detrimental to his physical health. The physical stress that his body went under making this movie was not good for him. So Brackett's draft introduced Cloud City and the asteroid belt chase and the battle on Hoth, and the fight between Luke and Vader in Cloud City. It did have a few key differences because Lucas omitted key information from Brackett when she wrote this, namely that there was a larger focus on the love triangle between Luke, Han, and Leia. There are Force ghosts of Obi-Wan and Luke's father in the movie, who is Anakin Skywalker, but he is not Darth Vader. Um, Luke also has a twin sister in the movie that isn't Leia. Han goes out to try and get help from his powerful stepfather, and Lando is not a standalone kind of smuggler guy. He is a clone left over from the Clone Wars. Do you have any thoughts on any of that before we move on to the second draft? I guess.
Nothing to add yet.
Okay, so now on to the second draft, which I keep forgetting I can't hit minimize. I have to hit the fucking button over here. So then Brackett died after submitting it, and Lucas attempted to submit notes to her, but he couldn't get through because she was on her deathbed in the hospital. She died of cancer shortly after. So Lucas wrote the second draft himself. His draft established quite a few things. Number one, that he had a twin sister who was following a similar story arc, namely that she was also shipped off to another planet, but was being trained by another Jedi Master on her own. It established Vader's castle on Mustafar and his fear of the Emperor, which is not quite as clear in the theatrical, I would say. Like the scene with Vader and the Emperor, you don't get the sense that Vader's afraid of the Emperor, do you? Or am I misreading that?
No, you're not misreading it. I
Oh,
agree.
okay. Um, it establishes Yoda's speech patterns, and it also established Boba Fett as a character who originated as a super stormtrooper who would be working for the Empire, but that was later changed. It also established power levels in control of the Force, where there are people who are innately more powerful than others. His draft also included, and this is a point of contention, this first draft was handwritten. The handwritten draft includes Vader being Luke's father. When he typed up the script, he omitted that from it. Um, and it is the famous thing where it's the script says, Obi-Wan told me enough. He told me you killed him, and I forgot what the oh no, it's the draft says Obi-Wan told your father, not me. But it was changed to no, I am your father. Um, then following the success of Raiders of the Lost Ark, Lawrence Kasdan was brought in to tighten up the script. Um, which, brings it to where we know it today. Um, Much like modern Star Wars movies, it was continually reshot until March, considering the movie came out in May. And people gave a lot of shit to like The Force Awakens and Rogue One and all of that for reshoots. This just shows that this has been happening since the beginning with Star Wars, where it's like people can't make up their mind about whether or not they like it in that time, and then they reshoot scenes, add shit, cut shit out, all that kind of stuff. Response was mixed with fans
Hmm.
at the time, with a lot of fans criticizing the tonal shift between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. Um, Now, this movie has the least amount of differences between the theatrical and the standard edition. There are some CGI elements added for fights to augment the experience, but the biggest two differences are Elaine Baker, who played the Emperor, is replaced with Ian McDiarmid, who ended up playing the Emperor in in all of the rest of the movies. And Jason Wingreen, who originally voiced Boba Fett, had his voice cut out and was replaced with Tamora Morrison, who played Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones, and then also voiced the clones from there on out. Um, it's the first Star Wars movie to be adapted as a video game, originally on the Atari 2600, and then also brought to the NES, SNES, and Game Boy. And like the first one, there was also a radio play version for NPR that had a few key scene differences. Number one, and a lot of it comes down to expanding the roles of the various Imperial officers. Commander Nita begs for his life, instead of just taking it like a man. Um, where he watched Oswald die, knew he was gonna die, and then begged Vader for his life. That was cut out, or that was changed for the radio play. That was not in the movie. And then they expand more on Admiral Piet and Admiral Oswald's relationship and creates it more like a rivalry. And this is more, I think, for dramatic effect. Luke audibly announces his plan to jump rather than join Vader instead of just him falling like he does in the movie. That's probably because there's no good way to articulate that in a radio play, so it needed to be changed. So do you have any thoughts on any of that?
And no,
So was this your now you watched it again, right? You watched it again for this?
I didn't get the chance to.
Okay. Well, you didn't miss too many differences. The only
I'm
differences
sorry.
are the only differences are acting performances from two of the actors. So you have never seen the special editions of these. We went over this when
No,
we talked about A New Hope.
no.
Um, when we do Return of the Jedi, I do need you to
Hmm.
watch Return of the Jedi, the
I
special
will.
edition, because there is something
When is
in
that?
there. So, that's like a month from now. That is so egregiously
Okay.
terrible what they add in that it's one of the
Hmm.
things that's going to change your mind about the prequels a little bit, and I'll explain why when we get to that.
Okay.
Um, it is. Do you remember the crackhead guy from the Honeycombs commercial? Like the crackhead guy who
Sure.
won the Honeycombs? You don't remember? It sounds like you
No.
don't remember that. You really don't remember that?
No.
It was like this weird little guy. He had like it was like a ball of fuzz with like a face on the front, and he had arms sticking out of the side and just two legs, no body. And he would just yell,
Okay.
"Me want honeycomb." Yeah, it's like that guy's father is in the movie and sings a very long song. Um,
No, I have
completely
no
on
idea what you're talking
Yeah, complete.
about.
You'll see what I'm talking about when you see it. But you didn't miss too much different in this. Now, I will say I'm of two minds when it comes to this movie. Well, why don't you give your thoughts first on Empire Strikes Back?
Hmm. What are my thoughts?
Yes.
Um, I like it. Um, I think we have some really great moments in it. There's two scenes or line exchanges that are just absolutely epic, and um they're ones that like just about everybody can quote. I mean, there's "I am your father" when Vader says it, and then there's when Han gets frozen in carbonite and he goes and Leia goes, "I love you." And he says, "I know." And then he gets frozen. Um, there's those
He doesn't
two.
say it quite so
Top.
enthusiastically though.
No,
It's a
he
lot more
says,
deadpan.
"I know." And
Yeah,
then
it's
he
very deadpan.
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it enthusiastic. Oh
You
my
did say it
goodness.
enthusiastically the first time.
Um, sure.
Um,
Okay. And then he gets frozen in carbonite, and it's they're pretty epic. They're in the, like it. I don't know, just everybody knows them
yeah,
because they were just so good.
I think this is the
I
best
think
of the
they're
Star
up
Wars
there
movies.
with like people trying to snap people. Like everybody knows about the snap, and everybody knows about "I am your father." Like it's right there
I would go so
with that
far as to
and the
say this is not
iconicness of it.
I would say this is not just the best Star Wars movie. I would say it's definitely in the conversation of one of the best sequels of all time.
I agree.
I would say that this is,
I agree.
like I think it's one of the things where I
It
can
was
see the
something that was like, how could it get any better? Oh my god, it gets better.
it's like I can see the argument for A New Hope being a better, like being a more enjoyable experience to watch all the way through because this movie does have
Hmm.
the middle, which can be a slog to get through. I love
Hmm.
this movie, but like from the time they leave Hoth to the time they get to Cloud City, it's a little bit meandering, which I totally understand that criticism
Isn't that when Luke is in the
in Dagobah and they're wandering around the asteroid
yeah.
field.
Those are
Like,
some of the best those those are some of the best scenes
oh
of
no,
Luke in
I
on
agree.
Dagobah with
That's the criticism people give is that it's a little meandering in the middle, which is like, all right, I can see that, but it's still it's more of a character building point for Luke and for everyone else because like
hmm
without that you don't get to the end and have the end be as impactful as it is. Also worth shouting out, this movie has a lot of the best cinematography in Star Wars. Like when we think about Star Wars, we think about
hmm
iconic shots, and I think the most iconic shot in Star Wars. Maybe I'm wrong. Feel free to correct me. It's gonna be the icon for this episode. Um, it is Vader and Luke facing down with their lightsabers right when they're about to fight, and it's in shadows, and you just see their shadows lit by the lightsabers. Like, man, let me bring up the picture. I have it saved on my computer because I'm gonna use it as the icon. I'll screen share it to you so you can see what I'm talking about because I feel like I'm not doing it justice to you. Downloads. That is the picture of Michael Douglas that I'm using for the Ant-Man episode, which I don't think you found funny when I sent it to you. Share screen, and then we will share this. Look at the screen now. That one, that shot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Like I think that is one of the most iconic shots from uh from Star Wars period. And 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 I
I
know this is going to be a
agree.
topic of debate when we get to it. And I'm looking forward to that debate because I feel this is going to be another like if you listen to the Ant-Man episode we just did, we are of two different minds on Ant-Man. I think we're going to get to The Last Jedi and be in a very similar situation. Where we're of two very different points of view on that.
Hmm.
Because I do really like The Last Jedi. It has its moments where it's not great, and there are things that don't work in the movie, but I do really like a lot of the movie. I think a lot of the movie does work. I have a feeling that you disagree on that. Um, but
I guess we'll get there when we get
we
there,
will, yeah,
right?
yeah, we'll get there when we get there. But that's
Heck yeah.
I listened to a podcast where I talked about The Last Jedi this week, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a fun one when we talk about that. Um, but yeah, I think that this movie all around has some of the like some of the most iconic imagery out of Star Wars comes from this movie, even more so than the original. Like all that stuff on Cloud City, like them opening, and this is something that I always think about, like when they went to visit, Lando, and he's like, I've just made a deal that will keep the Empire out of Cloud City forever, and he opens the door, and there's Vader sitting there. That room has food there, and like it's ready to be eaten. So the question is that I have, and I don't think anyone's ever answered this, is did they just sit there in silence with Vader in the room and eat? Or did they go somewhere else and not eat? And if so, did Vader try to make
What?
conversation? So
What?
that you know the scene I'm talking about, where it's like when they're introduced to Vader on Cloud City, and he's in that room. There's a table in front of them. That table, it's like
Okay.
they're going in there. There's food on that table. Like,
Okay.
so they went out of their way to cater that room and make it all ready. So did they throw all that food out and not eat, or did they eat? And if they did eat with Vader there and Boba Fett there, was there conversation to be had? Was there small talk made
No.
between them? I would like to know this. I feel like these are the answers that people demand. Um, and I feel like this is, if there is a problem with this movie, that's it. Is that we don't know what happened in that room.
What?
I'm it's a joke.
This is only a problem for you.
It's a
Nobody
bit.
else cares.
It's a bit.
No, it's is. Oh,
I understand you're taking it
this is a
seriously.
bad bit. It's a
Uh,
confusing bit. I'm supposed to
on,
take
on-
it seriously.
only if you're not paying attention. Anyway,
I'm supposed to take it seriously. Oh my god.
um, I do like how I have the virtual background going, and I keep going in and out like the Cheshire Cat. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I
Um,
have. I also noticed that you're not in the Death Star or on the Millennium Falcon, and I'm disappointed today.
oh yeah, I just picked one at random when I was getting ready because it changed on me without telling me. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's so do you have any other thoughts that you want to say on this beyond?
It's a great movie. Um, watch it.
How did we have more to say about a movie you hated than a movie that you
I
really
don't know.
like?
This is just
There you go. You happy?
I think there's really, yeah, that's better. There's only so much like to say. I mean, there's so many. To me, it's solid. It's one that will always like have my heart. I mean, we see Yoda in it, and that's awesome. And then we have those iconic lines. Like this movie, I think this is the movie that people think of when they think of Star Wars and the first
I do too.
trilogy.
I do too. I think that like that's the
This
thing
is
is
the
that
movie.
because it's like there's no wandering around the desert for 40 minutes. Like because it takes
Hmm.
40 minutes for anything to fucking happen in A New Hope, and it's like, can we just move this along? Like I don't need to watch a slow shot of two very slow moving droids wandering, one
Hmm.
waddling, one rolling around like with no sense of urgency. Um it doesn't have like I think that this movie works well without, the comedic aspect. It does have some funny moments. And like I do really like the relationship between Lando and Han. I think everything about it is very, very clearly laid out within about 10 minutes of total screen time between the two of them. Like I think that works very well for the movie too. Um what else was there? I feel like I'm blanking on it, and I feel like we're really failing the movie a little bit by not talking about it more. But the problem is, it's like I have this problem on Beware of Spoilers, where if a movie is really good, I don't
There's
know what
only
to say because I
right,
default to
except for gosh, it's good. Like
I
there's
default to
not much else.
criticism.
Oh,
Like I default to criticism, and I don't have anything to criticize. Like for me, this movie is up there with like The Godfather Part Two, or like I can't even think of other really good sequels like X-Men 2, Spider-Man 2. Um, this is up there. I mean, it's not as good as The Godfather Part Two, but it is definitely a solid number two in terms of best sequels of all time. And I think that like it deserves in the conversation of best movie of all time because it just does everything the first Star Wars did and just blows it so far out of the water. Like in
Mm-hmm.
terms of narrative and tone and everything like that. Um, and I think it's true that was also part of the conversation about why the what they call why the movie um had the tonal criticism it did is that in 1980 we were in a recession. And what happened was it's like people were already down and not and it's like if there's a new Star Wars movie coming, this is gonna be great. This is gonna, it's gonna be uplifting, it's gonna be, and it's just not. It's just it's so unique because it's just the rebels are just firing they're just throwing off the back foot from minute one of this movie. They're
Mm-hmm.
just completely outmatched by the Empire the entire way through. And for it to get to the end and for it to be like even for the smallest amount of hope. And I think that again, going to the Last Jedi, that's one of the failings of the Last Jedi, is that they tried to do the same thing where it's like we're gonna try and have it be where the rebels are just kind of the entire way through outmatched, but it just doesn't work nearly as well. Like the final beat at the end of that movie doesn't work as well as the final beat at the end of this movie, where it's like, look, Luke lost a hand. He had his entire world turned upside down, and what he thought was the truth was, was told to be a lie. And the thing is, too, it's like we talk about what he thought was the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what he thought was the truth for about 3 years, because up until that point, his aunt and uncle told him that his father was a drug runner. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the thing. It's like he was a spice runner. It's like now knowing what spice is, it's like, oh, that's not a great way to like it, why is that
Yeah.
better than saying he was a Jedi that got killed? Like, I don't understand that thought process. Like, and the point of it is, and again, it is a rewrite on the fly after the fact, where it's like Spice in that movie in 1977 is meant to be a reference to Dune, where
To
it's
what?
like to Dune,
Oh, okay.
because like the major, I think we talked about this when we talked about A New Hope, but everything about Tatooine is meant to be an homage to Arrakis from Dune, where it's like
Oh,
the
okay.
the whole idea that it's a desert planet where that's where the hero comes from and all, and there's a giant sandworm skeleton, all that kind of stuff. It's meant to be an homage to Dune. um the 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 key difference is spice as it was defined in Dune, is spice was kind of the key for space travel and for intergalactic travel. And that's what made Arrakis so important. So to say he was a spice runner, it makes it at that point it sounds more important. They later retconned what spice was to be a drug, um, after the fact. So it's like so that they just said Anakin was a drug runner. All right, I guess like that's a choice. But again, I don't think that's Lucas. I think that's more, them making a decision on the fly and not really thinking it through, after the fact without thinking about the implications. Um, but yeah, I think that like the everything going on with the what's it called? With this movie just works so well. I mean, I think the asteroid belt bits go on a little too long. That's my only complaint. And I think the urgent need to escape the worm creature living in the asteroid, I think that could also be omitted, and I think that would be a benefit to the movie.
Nope. I like it. I think it's just about perfect. I like
Hmm.
it all. Don't
Oh no, I'm not
ruin my
saying
movie.
I'm like my problem. I'm just looking for something to criticize. I don't have anything to talk about. I'm not criticizing
You
shit.
don't need to.
I
We
know.
can have something where we
It's
just
a
agree.
problem I'm
It's
dealing with.
great.
It's a problem I'm dealing
Yeah.
with. It's a
So
me problem.
with that said, and we like it. We both like it.
Yes.
Um, who
I think this
is
is number
your
one with a bullet.
favorite? Who is your favorite Star Wars character, period?
Hmm.
But with a question mark.
Um, I have a feeling this is an unpopular choice, but I'm gonna make the choice anyway
Oh my
because
god, you're gonna say Jar Jar.
no, um, Starkiller from The Force Unleashed. I have left you
Starkiller.
speechless. He's the main character from The Force Unleashed.
I don't know who that is.
He is
The
a
Force Unleashed.
kid. He is the son of a Jedi who was hiding out on Kashyyyk, Vader takes him in and raises him to be his apprentice
Oh.
and to be a Jedi hunter. He later switches sides and helps found the rebellion
Hmm.
and goes on to have many adventures in his own right,
Okay.
including they try to clone him on Camino and all of that. And he's got really sick ass alternate timelines where all the DLC they do in The Force Unleashed is him
Oh, I know
going.
Star Killer. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is a cool character.
yeah.
I the books that he's in.
The Force Unleashed one
Oh,
and two.
yes, they're great.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
what the
that
game's
is a
based on.
very cool. Oh gosh. Okay, so we're not where you're like all over the place with it. Ooh,
What were you looking for, like from the
so
movies? If it's movies, it's Mace Windu.
oh, okay. Okay.
So if there's one thing I love
Um,
about that, it's that everyone's doing British accents in those movies, except for Sam Jackson, who I guess can't do one. So he's just talking in a really weird cadence.
mhm.
Like, go back and watch that movie and be like, oh shit, he's trying to do a British accent but can't. So he's just talking in a similar cadence, and it's just really funny.
Hmm.
And I have a funny story with that too, if you want to hear it from my childhood about a fight on a school bus that happened over, not with me, a fight I witnessed on a school bus between two people over Mace Windu. A certain six-letter F word was thrown around a
Okay.
lot too as part of this. So, um,
Okay.
this kid was obsessed with Boba and Jango Fett, like obsessed to an unhealthy degree with these two characters. So he saw that Jango Fett was going to be an Attack of the Clones, and he would not shut the fuck up about this for weeks leading up to it. Keeping in mind, we were in second grade when this movie came out. That is how formative a memory this kid's not shutting the fuck up was for me, that I remember it 25 years later,
Okay.
20 years later. So so this kid will not shut the fuck up about Jango Fett. He sees the movie, as we all did. Jango Fett gets killed by Mace Windu. From that moment on, Mace Windu was my favorite character because this kid had a meltdown of seismic proportions on the bus home from school about Mace Windu and how he had a purple lightsaber that he used a certain six-letter F word that I will not say because it is not appropriate to say it anymore or never has been. But I think you know what I'm talking about. Um, and because he had that purple lightsaber, it questioned his masculinity, among other things. And this kid had a full-on meltdown on the bus over this, and it's just a fond memory I have of watching this kid scream for 20 minutes until he got taken off the bus.
Oh,
It's a lot funnier in my memory. When I tell the story, it sounds a lot less funny.
yes, it is.
Um,
I'm
so yeah.
sure.
So who's your favorite character from from the movies?
Oof.
Besides Ray, of course, because Ray is
Okay, from the
obviously number
movies?
one. Yeah, besides Ray,
Oh my
Ray's obviously number one. Who's
gosh.
number two?
Um, sure. So from the movies.
Yes. Any of the, let's say,
Um,
11 movies.
oh, this is gonna be lame, but just Han.
Oh, okay.
Han or Chewie.
Basic.
But from the but from the original three, not like old Han. Old
Oh.
Han's fine, but
See, and it's like I'm gonna end up
yep,
going off.
it's pretty
You brought
basic.
up Old Han. It's gonna bring up my least favorite part of fucking what was that movie? Of Rise of Skywalker. Have I told you my biggest problem with Rise of Skywalker?
No, but I'm sure you will.
Wow, that felt passive aggressive. So you know in the
No,
Disney.
I didn't know if you wanted to save it for that
No, because
episode.
I'm gonna bring it up there again, and I'm gonna bring it up again multiple times. But like you know in the Disney canon, they changed the kyber crystals and why the kyber crystal was red for the Sith. Where it's like it used to
Mm-mm.
be there's a red kyber crystal. Now it's the any kyber crystal turns red when you fuel the dark side through it, and it bleeds it and turns it red.
Yeah, and that's stupid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me rephrase something for you. So you remember that scene in The Rise of Skywalker where he sees the vision of Han
Mm-hmm.
and and that's his turning back to the light moment as he talks to Han and Han kind of forgives him and it's the I love
Uh-huh.
you, I know, and all of that. Now he takes the crossguard lightsaber and throws it into the ocean. And up until this point, we were told that his blade is all fucked up and kind of like distorted because he's conflicted and he's not 100% committed to the dark side, which is a
It's
cool
supposed
aesthetic and a cool
to be
idea.
red because it's synthetic.
All right, well, whatever. But like,
That's usually what makes them red is because they're synthetic.
okay, this is getting off on a tangent, but Leia had a red lightsaber in the expanded universe. Was hers also synthetic or was hers natural?
What?
Leia in an expanded universe book had a red lightsaber.
I think she had somebody else's,
Okay, that would make sense then. Either
right?
way, so in the new canon, it's they bleed the lightsaber,
Is
turns
that
red, whatever.
accurate? Because I don't know which
I
ones you're
don't
talking about.
I don't remember the name of the book, but there was a book that had Luke training Leia to be a Jedi. I don't remember the name of the book. We'll get to it when we get through the books, but there's one, and she had a. I remember they
Okay.
described it as a red lightsaber, and I was like, oh, that's cool, good guy with a red lightsaber. And it's not like she turned evil in the book; she just had the red lightsaber. But I don't know if she had someone else's crystal or if she
Yeah.
made her own or whatever. But so he had that lightsaber and it's red and it's all fucked up because it's meant to represent how fucked up he is inside. Now, imagine this. Instead of him taking it and throwing it into the ocean like a bitch, which he does, um, he ignites the lightsaber and it turns blue. And
Okay.
then you don't have to have like I feel like that's a better payoff for all this bullshit with what the difference with the kyber crystals is now. I feel like that's a better payoff, but whatever, they didn't do that. How did we
Yep.
get off on this diatribe?
Uh, I don't remember.
I don't remember
But
what it
now I
started
can
from.
tell you my random favorite. Like,
Yes, right. From other stuff, not the is it Kyle Katarn?
no. I'll give you a couple guesses though,
Okay.
and I'll even point you in the right
Yeah, you got to give me a hint.
direction.
You can't just say
Um,
guess what my favorite Star Wars character is. I won't narrow it down out of the 30,000 characters there
it's a
are.
Jedi.
Mara Jade.
No.
Okay.
Um, it's an alien creature, not human.
Is it Old Republic or is it New Republic?
Uh, New Republic.
Well, like what era is it? Is it close to the prequels, way before the prequels, after the prequels?
Way after the prequels.
So like New Jedi Order era.
Yeah, like and it's from the. Oh no, now I'm about to like change my mind. Um, but no, so
See, Mara Jade was my close second.
it's from when, yeah, it's from that same kind of timeline though as Mara Jade.
I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me 'cause I haven't read those books in a long time.
She was probably my close second as well. Okay. Okay. She was one of the people that trained Leia
You're gonna have to tell me. I don't remember too
as
much
a
of
Jedi
New.
Master. Oh, you don't know? Okay.
I don't remember too much of
It's
New Jedi
Saba
Order.
Sabatine.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Saba Sabatine. She's
Uh,
she's pretty cool. She's just an absolute freaking badass and just wrecks shit. It's great. And she's got some good one-liners where she's like, all right, just pick yourself up. She's it feels like she's always telling Leia, like, pick yourself up, princess. Quit being a little bitch about it and just do what you gotta do.
it's like I haven't read those
Even
books
though
in
Leia
so
is a
long.
tough girl, but
Yeah.
like yeah, Saba Sabatine makes her seem like a little pussy for sure.
Yeah, I haven't read those books in a long time, but like, remember when I asked you in the first episode if you could do any Star Wars movie? Like, they come to you and it's like, Josie, we need you. You're our only hope. what Star Wars movie should we do next? And you said the Cad Bane, or
Bane.
not the Cad, yeah, the Darth Bane movie.
Yeah.
Um, I realized I never gave my answer.
Oh, okay.
Mara Jade.
Just Mara Jade the movie? Like what
I
part of her
think
life?
I think you could do her, like, because the thing is, at this point it's so blown out of proportion. Like, everything is so blown out of where it was in the old canon. You'd have to basically rework it because everything's so different between Disney canon and the old canon. I would do Mara Jade as a Sith Inquisitor who breaks ranks and goes out on her own and finds a Jedi Master in hiding who's closer to the dark side than the light and trains with him for a little bit and then interacts with Luke. I
Mara
would do it
Jade
as a
is
mini
pretty
series.
cool.
I would do that as a mini series. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that
I
would, I think that would work. So we have time left because I have a timer on my thing. I'm keeping track of time. Did you catch up on the Bad Batch
What's
yet?
our next episode?
The next
I
episode,
did. I have not watched the whole thing.
um, I think the next episode is the Bad Batch, to be honest. Season 1 of the Bad Batch. Let me look. Yeah,
Okay.
season 1 of the Bad Batch is the next episode. The most recent 2 episodes are some of the strongest they've done of the entire run of the show. Because they put up 2 episodes last week. Um, and it is all right. So, did you watch season 1 or no at all? Did you finish season 1? I don't remember.
Of what?
The Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Okay. So you remember how they blew up Camino at the end?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So this most recent episode is entirely about the bureaucratic process of the cover up of what happened on Camino and the Empire trying to get the Senate to approve of a conscripted army instead of a clone army. It sounds boring when I put it that way, but it is so good. It is so well done. It's such an interesting episode, and it's like, it's this one senator who cares about what happened to the clones, and it's like Bail Organa's there, and he's like, yeah, so let me make sure we understand this correctly. Like, Camino, where Tapoca City has existed for thousands of years and is built to be completely submerged underwater for decades, somehow gets hit with a storm so bad that it completely levels the entire city, and we're supposed to believe that. Okay, sure. And it's like it's
Mm-hmm.
about like them trying to figure out, trying to prove the Empire did something. It's a great episode all around. I highly recommend you watch those 2 episodes. Anyone out there who hasn't watched it yet, which if you listen to the show, I would assume you've probably watched it already. Although that said, Josie has not watched it and she's on this show. So
What do
granted,
you
they
mean I
came
haven't watched what?
the most recent 2 episodes of the Bad Batch.
Oh, well, sorry.
I feel like
So
at
passive
times,
aggressive.
it's like I talk and you guys hear like wah 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 Josie, and then you're like, what?
I wouldn't say that to your face.
So like I'm talking and you're like, and it's like, and she hasn't, and Josie hasn't watched it yet. Watched what? And it's like, oh, fuck, like,
I don't know. Sometimes I lose what you're saying. So I'm just like, what's he saying
we'll
again?
get back to it at some point, and then we'll figure it out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But if I missed it, other people could have too. So,
yeah,
it's good to repeat it when I've already droned out. So.
yeah. Um, are you excited for Jedi Survivor,
Jedi Survivor.
the new Fallen Order
What's that?
game? You know how it was Fallen Order a
Uh,
few years back with the kid who played
I
Joker in
didn't even know
Gotham?
there was a new game coming.
Oh yeah, it's a big one.
Didn't know. Oh, okay.
I requested codes from EA
Sure.
to review it,
Uh-huh.
so we have not heard back yet. I'm not anticipating getting them. So on that note, I
Okay.
think I think we'll close up there
Thanks for
for
telling
today.
me what's not happening.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. We'll wrap up there
So
for today.
what's a stormtrooper's what's a stormtrooper's favorite store?
Um, I don't know what.
The store next to Target.
Ah, that's a good one. 'Cause I'm thinking like, is this something with white
Thanks.
in the title? So over the next few
No.
weeks,
Ba-dum-tshi.
here is our upcoming calendar. Let me bring that up real quick. So this week was Empire Strikes Back. Next week we have season 1 of The Bad Batch. The week after that, the week of March 1st, we have Dooku Jedi Lost. So I know you do really like that book.
I do like that book. I'm really excited for that. I think I'll be more excited for all the
Then you will for
book
the movies.
episodes than
And
I
the
will
next
for the
video
movies
game,
or the TV shows. Yeah.
the next video game is one that may be near to your heart. I'm curious to hear if you have any experience with this. Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga, the original, not the one that they put out last year. The original
And
Lego Star Wars game.
we're getting a game. Is that what I heard? You're breaking up.
I
It's
said
hard to tell what you've said.
I said the next game we're going to do is the original Lego Star Wars video game.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever
Yeah,
play
yeah,
that
yeah.
one?
I've played some of that. Yeah, yeah.
It's it's one of the
You,
things
why
that
you asked me
really
that after I answered? Oh, see, you did it too. You're not paying attention.
it's one of those things that really helped form my love of Star Wars. Um,
Did it?
and then we're back with March 15th. We have Return of the Jedi, which my mom always
Have
refers
you
to
ever
as
done
Return of the
any
Jed.
actual Lego?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Oh,
I have what's it called? I bought the Star Wars sets. I'm not gonna do any of the Star Wars sets. I got my mom the Paris Skyline set. And I got my grandmother the International Space
no,
Station.
no, no. I the for starts for the Star Wars. For
Oh,
have you done any Star Wars Legos or bought any Star Wars Legos?
I had like the Star Wars kids sets, like the what's it called? Like the one, like not the ones that are nice that you're meant for display now, like the ones that are like, here's a
Mm-hmm.
play set to play around in. Like I didn't have like the fucking Death Star
Oh,
that Tom Holland has in the Spider-Man movies.
oh,
Yeah, I didn't have those are expensive. Like the
they
fucking
are
Millennium
expensive. That's
Falcon is like
literally the
$600.
only reason I don't have one.
Yeah. That in
Yeah,
space.
yeah,
But the
yeah.
Millennium Falcon is an
That
expensive one. Um that's like 600. The Star Destroyer is like 500 and how the fuck see that's my suspension of disbelief with the Spider-Man movies. How the fuck did Tom Holland afford that Star set that's $400? Like
I yeah, that one I don't think they realized that it was an expensive toy.
it's
They
the
just
same
said, look
thing
at what
where
a nerd he is.
it's like the end of like my biggest suspension of disbelief in all of those movies, any of the Spider-Man movies, is at the end of No Way Home when, spoiler alert, he's been forgotten from everyone's memory, has no high school diploma, has nothing, but somehow can afford an apartment in Manhattan 7 blocks away from Rockefeller Center in Midtown. I'm like, that
Hmm.
apartment is gonna go for 3 grand. How the fuck does this kid with no job afford this?
They just let him have it.
Yeah, like that was the thing where I'm like, and he has no references. Like they're gonna call for references before you rent a place like that. He's got no social security number because he doesn't exist. Like there are a lot of questions that that movie does not answer, and that is one of them. That's the thing that it's like I watched the end of that movie and I'm like, come the fuck on. And the thing is too, it's not like
See,
it's
see that didn't pull me out of the experience.
no, but you
Like,
had
but
the
the
you
lady's purple hair the other
yeah,
day
see that
pulled me right out of it.
see, and it's like I think mine is more realistic or something to be confused about because because it's not even that they
Oh,
say
really?
yeah, because it's
We
not
just
even
live in
like
different worlds, dude.
because it's like, okay, she's the head of the CIA. I can approve of her having purple hair. I can understand that. But like my problem with this is it's not
No,
even like it's somewhat explained that maybe he went to college or something. He pulls out of his bag a GED book, like a GED test prep book, which means he didn't finish high school even. So what job is he getting that can afford that fucking apartment?
he Tony Stark gave it to him.
No, because Tony Stark is dead and no one
No.
knows who the fuck Peter
Well,
Parker is.
I don't know.
I will say that suit at the end does kick ass though.
I think that
Um,
was something that only bothered you.
I don't know. I feel like I'm not the only one. And one final thing before we
And
go,
there's gonna be like one other person out there in the world who was as
like,
bothered
yes,
by
I
the
also
purple hair as
agree.
I was.
Um,
Yes.
but one final thing before we go, have you watched The Last of Us?
I'm not yes. I think I've watched all the episodes. Maybe I haven't seen the most recent, but the last one that I saw had Ron Swanson in it.
Okay, there's one more episode that came out after it, and there's a new episode in about a half hour. Um,
I thought it was cute, the Ron Swanson episode. I just think it was a little out of place. Like it was just kind of
oh,
like,
I see
okay,
what
are
you're
these
saying.
people going to be important for any
Oh,
reason?
I see what you're saying. It's
No?
too gay
Okay,
for you. All right.
we're just going to watch a love story that doesn't fit in. Okay.
Hmm. I think something fit in. They made that
And
pretty explicit that something got fit in somewhere.
I, and that's I I just thought that it was an odd thing to throw in. Like even if it was a heterosexual couple, I think I would have felt the same way of like,
I love
why
the
do
way
I
you
give
put
a
that.
shit?
I love that you put it that way because like I'm not taking your fucking bait that you're laying out there.
Yes. Um,
No, I think that the what's it called? I think that
that I
the
think I would have thought it was just as strange because I'd be like, why the fuck do I give a shit about these old people?
I think the
That's
point
all
of
I
it
was thinking.
is like I think the point of it is like to show like there's a wider discussion to be had. We don't have time for this, but there's a wider discussion to be had about like it's telling the story that like it's it is designed to give Joel and the thing is I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I know how the game ends, and I'm assuming the show is probably going to end the same way. It is to get Joel where he needs to go by the end of this arc. They need to have him um what's it called? They need to have him be, see Ellie for being a person worth protecting, and they have to create shorthand for it to be like it is not a waste of your life to give up everything for one person. Um, and they need to do shorthand
Oh,
to
you
get him
think
to
that
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 point.
was what
I like that's like
it seemed?
when you get to the end and she's reading the letter and it's like, use everything here. I will leave you everything in this house when you get here. You can keep it all. It's all yours. Use it to protect Tess, but Tess is dead at that point. It's, he like it is, and then the next episode really drives it home because the next episode is all about him and Ellie bonding and becoming more than just like him moving her like a package from
Hmm.
point A to point B. Um,
Okay.
I really like the next the fourth episode that you haven't seen yet. It's really good. And I think Pedro Pascal is just
Okay.
killing it as Joel. I think it's such
Without
a
having
great choice.
seen it, I do feel like it was just like a strange thing. I agree. It is it's very good.
He's great. I like
I
Bella
think he
Ramsey's
is an
performance
excellent
as
choice.
like, and she's doing a great job as Ellie playing both the like and in the game she's not as aggressive, but in like her being this
That's what I was
aggressive,
wondering.
yeah, she's a lot more passive in the game. Like she's played like a younger 14. Like this is an older 14 that she's playing and like someone who's more weathered by the wasteland. I think this is a better way to do this character. Especially and the other thing is that this show has is it has the benefit of having fleshed out the characters in part two, so it's more informed by that. It's like when we talk about Outbound Flight compared to Thrawn Ascendancy. Thrawn Ascendancy feels
Hmm.
more fleshed out and more layered because it he got to treat Outbound Flight as a first draft for laying out the Chiss Aristocra and all of that. It's the benefit of doing a rewrite basically. Um, and because part two takes Ellie and Joel's story so much further, it's able to use that and knowing where it goes to inform that first run.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, we will wrap up there for today. Maybe you will come on after The Last of Us is over and we've seen all the episodes and we can talk about all of the episodes on Beware of Spoilers. But that'll be in March. We got a ways away to go for that. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, we will wrap up there for today. Next week we will be back with season one of The Bad Batch. And until then, have a great rest of your week.
Bye.